Hi folks, today I'm going to talk about opening a data file in SPSS that has been given to you in two separate documents. One is a DAT file, usually in text format, and just the SPSS syntax file. I've seen students encounter this and be blown out of the water like, what do I do now? So actually it's a quite easy process. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes going through it with one quick example, and hopefully that helps get those of you looking for answers a little unstuck. Again, it's super easy process. So I'm going to go through a quick example. I went and downloaded such a data set as an abstract lesson, with understanding that each one can be a little bit different, but it's just the same general principle. So we're going to go through this. You're going to see how easy it is, in that should get you going on the way to where you want to go to. So with that, I just want to offer a caveat that this is for a PC, not a Mac. So there'll be some slight variation with a Mac computer, and that is with identifying the paths that will become clear to you in a few moments. But if I find a good, straightforward, simple example, I'll put it in the description below. So with that, we'll get going. So here's the hypothetical. You run into a data set from some website and you download it. And it's usually in an ASCII format, and then it has an associated syntax file, and this will be identified as an SPSS syntax file that accompanies the ASCII file. So for those, you download both of those files. Most typically, they'll be identified in your downloads folder. I've already moved mine. So what I tend to do is create a new folder on my desktop. Here, I created a folder and I named it Syntax Example. And I've already moved those two files into this folder called Syntax Example. You can name yours whatever you want to, but for me, that's all I'm naming it. So you'll see this ASCII file, which is in the text document, and the SPSS syntax file. For a PC, it's really easy. They have a button to help you identify the path, and I'm going to show you that in a second. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to highlight our data file, and we're going to hit this button that says Copy Path. So boom, right? I just copied my path to my data document. And then I'm going to open up my SPSS syntax file. So it should be opening my SPSS. I probably should have done this beforehand. It's thinking. So it will be more straightforward probably if you have it open. Here we go. So that's open. No, maybe later. So let's get back to the top of this. So I want to get right here. So here, and you'll see instructions up here, and that's what I mean by each one will have its own, instructions. Sometimes they're not that intuitive, and particularly if you haven't done this before. So you'll know that I already saved the path for my data file. On this first line, it's saying wants the data file name. And here, between the quotes, is where you'll just paste that data file. Avoid double quotes. You'll see it's trying to do that, and it's giving me a little red highlight alert. Took them off. So between two quotes, here is the path. You'll see there's my syntax example folder. That's the name for the data. So that's simply pasted in there. So now this is all the commands associated with that particular data file. So it's the variable names and labels and a whole host of information. At the bottom, you'll see the save out file. What I like to do, excuse me, is use the same file name that is for my SPSS syntax file, which is already associated with that data set. You can name it whatever you want, but I just find that this is the easiest way in it, and we'll save it usually in this, right there in the same folder and everything. So I'll go back to my syntax example folder. I've got the syntax file is highlighted, copied that path. Go back to my syntax file, and in between those quotes, and you'll note here it has the .sav. That's how you're going to want to change that extension on that file name in between those quotes. So I'm going to paste that in there, in between the quotes, and change that SPS, which is the syntax extension, to SAV, so .sav. Make sure there's no double quotes. And then what you don't really probably appreciate on this screen is that there is a period at the end, so it's ending the command. All right, so make sure that period's there. So in quotes, that's the new path name, and that would change the extension from the syntax file extension to the data file extension, so a .sav. And then you're going to go up here to edit, select all, run it, and that should give you an output file, but should also, boom, there's your data. So super, super easy, hopefully, that you find it. And then you would save it however you want to save it. So over here, I guess we'll name it, sample data. All right, so sample data in the syntax example folder, save. You can name it whatever you want to. You can then move it to wherever you want to. But this just gets you to where now you have your data up and running associated with that download of the separate ASCII file and the syntax file. So there you go. So there's your data. You can save all things, wherever you need appropriate. And again, this does not get you the paths for a Mac computer. So again, I will look about and I will try to find something to put into the video description below for Mac users. So there you go. Pretty easy. And again, different files, different syntax files have different instructions, so there'll be some alterations or changes as you go along the way. Just play with it, get a sense of it, understand kind of what's going on. Oh, that's your data file, that's your syntax file. What is it asking you to do? It's asking you for the data file up front and then the conversion at the end, and remember to at the end to change that extension. So and then play with it, get a sense of it. If you're having problems with one, just make some alterations. Make sure you're not doubling up quotes. Make sure you haven't altered anything. Like if some have, backslashes and things like that, make sure you can reclaim them. I encourage you to kind of get in there and do it, just own it. And hopefully this helps you get on your way. And hopefully you found this little video helpful, and have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.